Hi everybody, this is Kimberly with Starfish Designs Embroidery. I am going to do two videos tonight. This is the first of two. I'll separate them out just to be shorter. I am working on releasing the rectangular style key fob pouch. I'm actually really having fun with this one. I actually personally like it a lot more than the triangular styles that I did before that are so popular, just because this can fit a little bit more in it since it's all the same length. So tonight I'm actually going to demonstrate. The instructions for the key fob pouches are exactly the same. I'm not updating them. The PDF is exactly the same. The only difference is it's rectangular. So none of the steps are any different at all. So if you've seen my other key fob demonstration, same exact thing. The difference for this one is I created 4 templates for the smaller versions in case you want to do a window opening on the back. I only did it for the small ones because my intent is for using it for your car remote. I have a car remote starter for the winter. It's in Ohio. We like to warm our car up. And the little hook on it broke last year, so I actually had created a tiny little pouch for it and had a cutout for the buttons because I actually have to use those buttons. A lot of you won't ever actually have to use your buttons. Like my regular car starter, I don't have to usually push those buttons. It automatically unlocks when I get to the driver's side door. So the only time we have to push the buttons is if my son needs to do it. So that it's not as important that you have a window on that one. Anyway, so I've already gone ahead and ran the first step. This is for the template. I'm going to try. I have a new setup here because I rearranged my sewing room. I hope it's much more bright. And I also I'm going to try and make sure I'm showing you guys what I say I'm showing you. I actually have to redo my double zipper pouch video because I did not realize until after an hour and a half that I had cut some stuff off. Oh, what am I doing? Missing a step. Okay, so I have my materials already over here. I'm crossing my fingers because I actually had already started a test run and got interrupted. So I don't want to waste this. It's already ready. It's not the same size, but I'm going to try it and see if it'll work. Keep my fingers crossed. Here I go again. Okay, so I have a piece of clear vinyl. Honestly, don't ask me what gauge this is. I got it from my punk, so it's probably 8 or 12. It's not the really heavy one. I'm just going to lay that on top of here. And then I'm going to lay the back of my pouch on top as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this in half both ways and get the center. And I'm going to start a cut there so that when I go to cut out this opening, it's easier. So I'm just going to make a tiny little notch. You see that? And I'm going to put a little notch here so I can get my scissors in there to cut this out. It's just a little trick, but you need to make sure you line this up right when you do it. So I'm going to go ahead and center this down here. I'm just eyeballing it. And I hope you don't hear my dog in the background because she's mad because we locked her up. Because she likes to come up here and yell and get into business and all that. Alright, so I think that's about even to where my opening is going to be. Where is my tape at? See, I did such a good job cleaning my sewing room. I don't know where anything's at. And I am actually fibbing a little bit because I actually did not get it all sewn or all done. I have much more to do. But I ended up rearranging it twice. So my stash is down here. I have this cute little cabinet that I found online, the marketplace. It was much smaller than I intended it to be, but it works great for right next to here. Okay, again, I'm making sure everything's covered. And I'm going to tape this down because I don't want this to move around. And we have a piece of vinyl here that's slippery. Now you guys keep me real and remind me we want to cut that clear vinyl out of our tab before we turn this pouch because that's going to prevent us from getting it really strict. Okay, and I'm not paying attention to what colors I have up here. Okay, I'm going to just use black so you guys can see it. Okay, so now I'm going to run the next step, which is just the window cutout. And if you wanted to, you actually could just run that step next and then trim your clear vinyl. But I'm just going to leave the vinyl be part of the whole case. I figured that would be less likely for it to tear down the road. Oh, I'm getting low on my black thread. I have a lot of Floriani, but to be honest, I like Isacord best. But I got a lot of Floriani with my, see, most of it's Foo, which Floriani bought. But I got a lot of it with my first machine. So I use it, but for my black and white, I got the Isacord. And look at that, I pulled it really close. So it's a little tricky. If you want, you can wait and sorry, I got distracted. If you want, what you could do is actually just do your this top, cut out your circle, and then lay the vinyl on the bottom and then tear out the tearaway. That would be another option to do it. So I'm using these duckbill scissors, and I'm just going to get in here and trim all the way around inside there. I'm not doing a satin stitch on this next step, so don't trim too much. I'm just doing a bean stitch for decoration. So actually you could probably wait and cut it out when you're all done, but I just want to do it now. That way the bean will cover up if I do cut too close. It'll reinforce that. So I'm just cutting so I have about, and I'm going to stand up. It'll actually be easier to see this standing up. So I have about a 1/16 inch. And this is the gold vinyl, marine vinyl from my punk, and it cuts really well. Alright. So, and it doesn't need to be a big window, you know. The one thing is, if it's not big enough when you're all said and done, you probably could get in here, since it's not going to be lined, and trim it out a little bit more. Okay, you'll do a little bit better job than me, but there we go. That's the window, and it's all ready. And Grayson, can you turn that down just a little bit, please? Sorry, my son's doing some kind of reading something up here. All right, so I'll return it. Now, on the multi-needle, the 4x4, this little hook or screw is only on the bottom, so it's easier to not flip it in the wrong way. And we're going to do black again. I don't know why. I'm so used to doing reserve stop, I automatically did it. I didn't need to do it on this one. Now, when we take this out of the hoop, we're not going to tear the tearaway, because we're going to use that original placement line to line up with the new one. Oh, and I am getting to the end of the spool, and I don't know about the rest of you, but anytime I get to the end of a spool, I start to have thread issues, and I have a little bit of a looping here. So it's kind of a bummer. It's like, So I'm going to set this aside. I'm just going to leave it in the hoop right now. Remember that the bottom is on the hinge side. And I'm going to put this guy back in here. And I'm actually going to pull the zipper down out of the way for right now, because I already have a zipper in here. And I want to just see if it's going to line up, if I can reuse this zipper. Or I might have to get up and get some more hoop another thing, because I already had this hooped for whatever test that got abandoned. Alright, so I'm going to pull up the next file, and here we go. think that's right, yes. All right, and we're gonna cross our fingers, right? And we're gonna hope that the stitches all line up. One thing though we're gonna have an issue with is the middle zipper placement line. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and stitch past those lines so I don't have to hit my zipper there. So I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna just step through all those lines. What am I doing first? Okay, it actually did do the, okay, I'm gonna start again. I'm actually gonna be able to do the outline first and we'll see if that works. And I'm just gonna keep an eye out and make sure I don't get into that zipper. You're not gonna have this problem because you're gonna do it fresh, right? So. Oh. Y'all, you're not going to believe this. It's lining up perfect. Okay. So, it was going right down the middle of the zipper. I got lucky. I don't know if you can see that because it's black is black. I'm going to go ahead and clip out this little stitches that I just went over there. That was silly of me to do that because I need to move the zipper out of the way again. Again, you're not going to have this problem. I'm just trying to reuse my zipper here. You're just going to be stitching this new and you won't see all this good stuff here. But, okay, so I'm going to move that zipper out of the way for right now. And y'all are just pretending you don't see the rest of this stuff here. Let's move it out of the way like we're new. So we're starting all new. Okay, so, and look how small this is. It's really small. So we're going to go ahead and skip to the next step. Oh, I'm losing my mind. Okay. Next step. Okay, so the next step is going to stitch down the zipper. We don't need to do that because that's already done. Okay, so now we're going to get our material. In this case, I'm doing the vinyl. And we are going to lay the vinyl alongside this seam. So we're doing the left side first. So you're going to lay it here. We're going to stitch it. Are you seeing this? Here. We're going to stitch it and then we're going to fold it over. This gives a more secure final construction, in my opinion. There's sometimes when you can just do the butt up the vinyl to the zipper, and that's fine if you're doing just a small little bag that's not going to hold a lot of volume or be used a lot. Just my opinion. In sewing construction, we would not do that. You always sew the zipper together and then do a top stitch to secure it. So I don't think it's secure enough. So on most of my patterns, I don't do that. And it looks like I might be off a little bit here. Okay. I'm going to go to switch to white thread. No, I'm good. When you're doing these stitches, you know, in my steps, all the color stops are indicated to tell you what to do, when to stop and everything. But always match your thread up to your material. And the reason for that is if you pull too hard on your material, this is not going to do it, but on the cloth for sure, you might see the stitches there. And if you see the stitches, you're going to see whatever that thread is. And if you're using a different color thread, it's going to stand out really bad. So match the thread to your material. Okay, so now I'm top stitching. So I actually have a bronzy color already hooped. So I'm going to use that. So now this is going to top stitch. This is the unlined version. I'm going to do another video for the lined in a little bit. So this is exactly the same as the video I already did for the triangular key fob. I just wanted to show you how to line up this window. And here I am with the hanging threads again. It drives me insane. Okay. Yes, that looks good. I tried to change all the beans. Okay, so now we're going to put our vinyl over here. Ooh, my fingernails are dirty. Sorry, guys. I need to go. All right, and again, I'm taping down because that's what the instructions say to do. But on these machine, you usually don't really need to do that because the vinyl is heavy enough, and since the presser foot isn't rubbing up against it, going back and forth, it usually doesn't move. So those with the multi-needle machines know what I'm talking about. Usually you don't need to worry about taping these steps down. So there we go. We have that. Pull this out. Fold it back. If you're having trouble getting the vinyl to stick down, get one of those little boning tools. I think there's lots of names for them here, markers or whatever. And just kind of rub it along there. And yes, I know, gold and blue. These are totally the wrong colors for somebody living in Columbus, Ohio. Looks too much like that school up north. If you don't know that phrase, Google it. All right, I'm going to switch over to the bronze. But it's what I had. I went through the scrap pile. Okay, so this is doing the last top stitch. We only have a couple of stitches left. Okay, now I'm going to do my reinforcement stitches for the zipper. So I'm going to pull the zipper down to the middle and tape it in place so it doesn't jiggle around. Again, this is important if you're doing on a regular machine because could get caught up on your presser foot. So just tape it out of the way. I don't like anything hanging out there. Okay, and I just saw an issue already. For some reason this, oops, and I forgot to tell you guys one more thing. Let me cut this. For some reason this file didn't get a travel stitch. If there's no travel stitch, it's gonna, on your machines, it's gonna come back up here and it's gonna get stuck in this. So by the time you guys get it, I'm gonna have a travel stitch over here. What I forgot to show you was, if you do not do this next step, now on my machine, it doesn't matter because, again, the presser foot works differently and it's up high. But if you do not do this, let me see if I can get this camera up show. Do you see how this kind of wants to come up? Your presser foot will come along there and it'll go like this. You don't want that. So go ahead and put a piece of tape here. It's going to act as a bridge. It's also going to keep your zipper connected, but it's going to act as a bridge to guide your presser foot so it doesn't get hung up on that. I'm going to start that step again. Oh, actually that was the basting stitch, so it doesn't matter. But trust me, that'll happen. It'll get stuck and then it's going to pump it up, and you don't want that to happen. It's okay if it goes through the tape. The tape will tear out. Okay, and at this point you can go ahead and trim off the extra zipper, because if you're like me, it's probably been driving you crazy. And now it's the final step. We're going to go ahead and line up our window so it makes sure it lines up right. All right, so get that out of here. So I'm gonna go in here and get, there's a little bit more tape in there. I'm gonna dig in there. I don't know if you can see me, it's not important, but just try and get that tape out of there, because if you don't line this up, if you pull too hard when you turn, you might see that from the other side and you don't want that. So try and get the tape out. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and lower my zipper a little bit more now, because this is the final step, so we need to be able to turn it. You don't need to worry about cutting the stabilizer open because this is unlined. But if you're doing a lined bag, you might want to carefully go in there and cut the stabilizer out. I don't, but you might want to. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and return to our hooped project over here that we did not take off the tearaway. Well, I really hooped that good, didn't I? Okay. The reason I didn't take the tearaway off is because I want to line this up, and it's going to be facing up anyway, so I don't care. So I have a couple of points of reference. I have this point right here, where there's a point, and right here. So I'm going to take my pin, I'm going to push it right through there, and now I'm going to come over here, and actually it would be easier if you go ahead and go from reverse and find the same point here and put a little hole, and you're going to see that little hole, right? It's going to be hard to show on the camera, but I could see it. You'll be able to see that little hole from the other side. So then take your pin and go ahead and insert it into that little hole you made. And I would do one side at a time, because that little hole is going to disappear on you really quickly. I can see it, but you might not be able to see it in the camera. Okay, see what I did there? So it's all touched in there. Now I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to try and lay this down, lay it down flat, and I'm going to poke the hole in and see if we can make it meet there. I'm just going to go all the way through and see if I meet it. And I didn't. Okay, so I'm going to have to do the same thing. Okay, so before I do that, while I have this on here, I'm going to go ahead and, actually, you know what I'm going to do? See, this is not necessarily the easiest thing. I'm going to get a little pen and mark it. Oh, you know, I actually can see it really well now. I've actually poked it enough. So let's do the same thing on the other side. Let's poke through so we have the placement. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to poke through, and there's the placement, and I'm going to just kind of rub it around and open that up a little bit. And it's hard to show on the camera, but you can see it in person. I don't know if you can see that there, but you can see it in person. Okay, now let me put this pin in here. All right, I got both those pins in there, and now I'm going to line them up with both of my holes that I made on here. So there's the first one, and actually it would be a lot easier if you cut away some of the tearaway. You just don't want to lose your placement line. Get that bulk out of there. So just don't cut your vinyl, Kimberly. Okay, there we go. Now much better. Okay, so, and you could actually go right now and cut down that extra window there. Do you see what I mean? So I'm going to fold this down just so we can get it out of the tab. And I'm going to cut that vinyl out of there, because we don't want that extra bulk in the tab. It's hard enough to turn as it is. Okay, so that's done. Okay, so now I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to try and make sure my holes didn't close up. All right, there's one, and There's 2. All right. Now here's going to be the tricky part. You need to make sure that this stays perpendicular, because if it's slanted, it's not going to be straight anymore. So then get your tape. Of course, I should have had a piece ready, shouldn't I have? I'm going to get a couple pieces ready. Get your tape and then lay it down. And again, you're going to be using thread color that matches your vinyl, so if the thread shows through. And you can do another point of reference if you're concerned that this is not lined up well. So I'm going to leave these down perpendicular. I'm going to put this piece of tape over here and this piece of tape over here. Okay, you see that? And now, if I go ahead and take this down here to the bottom corner and push it through, I should expect to see it lined up there, and I do. So, it just raised up on me. So this is very tricky, but if you want a window, this is what we're going to do. Okay, now I'm going to push this tape down really good. Alright, and then I'm going to put it back on here and run the last step. Again, it can go through the tape, it's fine. Now, on your single needle machines, you're going to be going through a lot of layers here. If your machine starts breaking needles, that's indication that you need to use a larger needle. So go ahead and get yourself like an 80-14, or I'm sorry, a 90-14. Oops, I forgot to hit reserve step. You don't run the last step. Do not run the last step. That won't be an issue for you on, well, unless you're on the multi-needle. Okay, now let's see how good of a job we did. I know I didn't do a perfect job because I can see that my trace over did not match my placement, but it's okay. Alright, I'm not going to show you how to apply the hardware because there's already a video for that, and I didn't bring my hook up here anyway. And I bought that those plates from Snap, and I want to test those, so I'm going to do that off camera. I'll probably do a video on camera testing those if I like them. Quite frankly, they were pretty expensive. So I need another trash can up here. I think they were a little pricey, so I really hope they're worth the effort. But if you're going to be doing craft fairs, it might be worthwhile because they. I'm hoping I can do the press in just one press instead of having to do like 3 like I do right now. Okay, and again, when you do this, the stabilizer gets caught in there. You tear away as much stabilizer as you feel comfortable. I don't think anybody's going to be opening up these pouches and looking at my stabilizer. I just want to kind of see if we managed to do this correctly. Oh, and don't forget, you got to tear away the stabilizer on this side too that we left in there. So again, if you want, you can run that first stitch on just the clear vinyl and then not have that embedded in your seams. But in my mind, it's just going to be more secure if we do the clear vinyl for the whole pouch. Right. Oh, you can already kind of see. Do clean up these little thread bits though, especially since you're doing the clear vinyl. I think you can even use a lighter real quick or something. Well, you can't on this because we just put this clear vinyl, but on other types of bags. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and trim this out as close to the stitches as I can get without cutting into it. So about between 1/8 and 1/4 inch. And here's, I'm going to show you again. Let me get the fine. I do a balk trim first, or a large trim. So I get to that 1/4 inch first. Are you guys able to see what I'm doing here? So I do that first. Okay. And I'll show you what I do after that. So then I do this. Balk is not the right word. What is the right word for this? I don't know. Okay. So there we go. So this is the first round. So it's a little too thick up there. Can trim that a little bit more. Okay, so two things I do. First of all, I cut into, notch the curves. Really carefully. You don't want to cut into the stitches. But if you get all this extra material out, it will curve much better. It's just a very slight curve, so don't worry about it. I'm not a big fan of points. They tend to look dog-earish when you try to turn them out. So I just did a very, very subtle curve on it. But this is what I wanted to show you. You got to get into this corner here. So what I do is I go into it at a notch at an angle like 45 degrees from this direction, and then again from this direction. And now you see that little corner, and I can see I can actually trim out a little bit more of this. So this corner here, you can cut that off at the top. Again, don't cut into your seam. So just notch that off. Again, here we go. Like just about 45 degrees, 60 degrees in there, and then again from the other direction. And it creates a tiny little notch. You can see it maybe a little better on this side. A little notch there. And it makes it so much easier to turn and get that crisp thing. I'm going to turn this out of the camera because I have the camera set up where you can't see me anyway. So I'm going to turn it. And I'm going to be very careful because I think I actually did cut too far into the tab. So I find that after I remove this tape, it's easier if you can push one corner through at a time. And I actually usually go for one of the bottom corners. So let me see if I can at least get that part on camera. So this corner, and push it through. And then the bottom other corner. You see that? It's hard to show on camera. And it's just usually a little bit easier to do it that way. This is a really small bag, so it's not easy. But you can do it. I know you can. All right, you'll see them push out with my fingers until I get that corner out. And you see what I mean about the thread matching, because you can see those threads. In the sewing world, I would go through and do another stitch close up to that. I hesitate to do that on this embroidery machines because it tends to mess up the tension a little bit. And oh, I got a little bit of, not mess up the tension, what am I saying? It tends to pile up because you don't have as much control. The fabric and vinyl gets pulled in from the stitches, and so the registration can get off a little bit, and you don't have as much control. So I don't digitize my bags that way. So that's why it's important that you match the thread. And in lots of commercially purchased bags, you can see the threads. It's construction, you know. I don't have my little bamboo thing up here. I have misplaced that, so I'm not going to be able to get the corner out all the way to show you. Anyway, that's how you do it. So here, now at the top, I'm pushing, and I'm going to push this. Okay, now here's the trick. See, this is not done. There is no tab there. Push that tab up with your fingers. You can do it. Take the time to really get that tab up and get your little pointing device in there. I wonder if I can use this little hair stick. I have bought several pointing devices, and of course I don't have any of them right here. But get in there and get that tab, because if you do that, you're going to have a much more successful key fob. Why can I not find my stuff? Okay. Anyway, and I'm having trouble because this is very thick. But you can see I don't have it out yet. You can still see the tabs are inside there. So just take the time and work through it, and you'll get them out. Definitely, oh, I know what I can use. The blunt end of tweezers, that usually, because my fingers aren't working, you can usually get that in there and push it out. All right. There we go. And this tab is a little bit shorter because it's only the 4x4. But I will get it. And once you get that out, just keep working at it. See, I'm just going to keep working at it. And it's coming a little bit more. Then once you get it out, you'll see where to put the key fob. And I probably should not have chosen this marine vinyl. It's a little thick, but you can see it. Can you see that? It's coming. And just need a little bit more on this top one. All right. You don't need to worry too much about these extra threads because they're going to be covered up with the key fob. Now, if you're doing the ribbon, and you know what, I did cut too close because I can see my zippers coming out of here. So, but that's okay because this one's going to be a key fob. But from this side, you can see there's the tab, and I'm going to put the hardware on it, and you won't see it. And voila, there you go. So there's a window there for your remotes. And I will see if this will work for my remote. I just randomly picked a size, and didn't really pay attention if that would work with mine. And I'll post a picture of it in the group. Okay, again. All right, there you go. Cute little window, and it's all ready to go for all your remotes or whatever else you want it for. All right, thanks guys.